Baldy, it's that kind of week here in Chicago.
Well, I can imagine.
I mean, we got players with lots of opinions. We got coaches not really saying anything. Questions about accountability.
Baldy, you were at the game on Sunday. Why didn't you do something to stop the Hail Mary from happening? Because it's ruining my life.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I saw Tampa almost do the same thing to Atlanta. I just don't understand the philosophy of not really even rushing. I don't get it. Like, why let Jaden Daniels just hold the ball for 12 and a half seconds and plant his feet and make a perfect launch? Like, why do that? What's the need for all the people to sit in the end zone? They just run into each other anyways. So, I mean, if you affect the throw where they can't make a perfect throw, maybe you don't need all those people down. That's one thing. I know Tyreek Stevenson is taking a lot of heat. Honestly, I don't really understand the video of what people are watching. There was at least, I was there early. There was at least 15,000 Bear fans in that stadium. I mean, it was the whole lower bowl pregame was all Bear fans. And I don't know this because I didn't talk to anybody, but I honestly think he was just telling Bear fans, like, we got this. Like, I don't think he was doing anything more. Maybe I'm wrong. Like I know he's the guilty one of basically tipping the ball back to Noah Brown, but I think he was going to knock it down. He just got bumped into by all the people, and he got hit, and he couldn't bat it down, and it just popped up. So I don't know. Like, the philosophy doesn't make any sense to me about just basically. I don't know what T.J. Edwards was doing. He wasn't rushing. He's just standing there. Like get after it. Get after the quarterback.
Yeah, I hate pretty much everything about the way they played those last two plays. Were you take us because we obviously we didn't hear the radio call, but just like you were there, what was your reaction? Honestly, the last two plays, because we've had a huge issue here too about just giving them free 13 yards when if you just guard the sideline, the game's probably over. When you're breaking that down in real time, witnessing the Hail Mary, all that, like, take us inside the game and what was going through your head.
Well, every second counts. So you got 6 seconds to go, and you hit McLaurin on a 13-yard out. Now they're in a position to make the Hail Mary throw. Like, they're not going to throw the Hail Mary from where they were. They're not, they're not going to do it from the 35-yard line. It's just you're not going to be able to reach the end zone. Even Jaden Daniels, I don't know if he can reach the end zone. That's that's going to be a 70-yard throw. Not many guys can do that. I'm not a fan of the last 6 seconds for sure. But the ball's in the air, like on the launch from the 48-yard line. I mean, he held it forever. So, but you're just waiting for all the guys to get down the field and kind of get in position. And Jaden Daniels did an unbelievable job of just, Jacob Martin's out there. They got these guys out there, DeMarcus Walker, like he's avoiding them all, like they're not even there. It's like, it's like flag football. Like, you can't get the flag off them. And, and then the ball's in the air and like, okay, here we go. And to see the ball, all you're looking for is there going to be a tip or is it going to get batted down? And if there's a tip, where's the closest receiver? And nobody was on Noah Brown. They doubled Terry McLaurin up front, like before the end zone, which doesn't make a lot of sense either. You don't usually see guys catching the ball at the 5 and then running in on that play, but that's what they did. So, I mean, it was just, it took a long time for the ball to be thrown. It seemed like the ball was in the air forever. And then, when it's caught by Noah Brown, it's just that I haven't seen that stadium like that ever. And I've been in that stadium a lot. Maybe you go back to RFK, when, Bears and Redskins were playing, or Cowboys and Redskins were playing in a playoff game, maybe it was that rowdy. But I've never seen that stadium like that erupt when that happened.
Baldy, does Matt Eberflus need to not start at bare minimum Tyreek Stevenson, or do you just move forward?
He's a good player. I mean, what's he guilty of though? Just what, taunting, or because nobody played that play well. Like
he poked a player in the eye too.
Well, Baldy, let here, just so you know, because you might not have heard all the fallout, which is totally understandable. So, obviously, if you're not playing 4 out of the 12 seconds of the play, that's a bad look to begin with. You're right, he did run in there and get his hand on the ball. The problem was, Flus told us Monday he was supposed to be the guy boxing out Noah Brown. So,
that's a bad assignment error. I mean, that's just missed assignment, but it cost him a game. If that's the way it was supposed to go, and he did what he did, then that's egregious error. Do you suspend the guy, sit the guy? I mean, they've got a good secondary. He's a big part of it. I guess, I don't know what you do with that situation, honestly.
I'm just saying,
I don't know
like
how you-
putting yourself back in the locker room, Baldy. You're playing. Some dude is not on his P's and Q's. He's talking to the crowd. He ends up messing the play. If you're in that locker room as a player, do you want him to suffer further consequences, or do you want your best teammates on the field and just let it go?
They got a lot of veteran guys there. Eberflus runs the defense. He needs to be talked to. It can't ever happen again, ever. It's an immature thing that he did. You got Byard there. He's been a Pro Bowl safety, an All-Pro safety. He's been around a long time, but he's played with a lot of young guys. Like, it'd be good to talk to Byard or Byard to talk to him. Hopefully it bothers him a whole bunch. He's going to see Marvin Harrison if he plays this weekend. He's going to see a quarterback that can do exactly the same thing that Jaden Daniels just did. So it'd be pretty good that if he does get out there in the field, he does play, that he's alert for all 60 minutes.
So to me, when Matt Nagy was here, his defining moment of his failures was when he ran the ball for 7 times in a game and afterwards said, "I didn't come here to run the I formation." To me, it showed stubbornness and an ego and not doing what's best for the team. And then you fast forward to Matt Eberflus on the play before the Hail Mary. He was asked about it after the game, and he said, those 13 yards didn't matter. And Dan Quinn was interviewed that same night and said that play mattered the most in their comeback. Yeah. So from your perspective, like, how damning is that for Matt Eberflus to say that in the moment?
It's damning. It's damning. I mean, I heard some of it. The Doug Kramer play. I'm sure we're going to get to it. It was a 4th down call. It was a goal, a 1 yard call to goal line. Blah blah blah. They released Kyrie Blasingame. I mean, you live your fullback, and you put this kid. He probably never practiced it. I'm sure Blasingame was the fullback most of the time if they ever practiced it. Like, all these things are damning. I mean, that's a horrible loss. Everybody. Minnesota didn't play this weekend, but Green Bay won a big game against Jacksonville, and Detroit blew out their opponent against Tennessee. Like, every one of these games matters. It's going to be hard to, get that one back because it was there in their back pocket. So it's hard to believe that you could just dismiss 13 yards like that, knowing that you can't throw that ball. Like I said, without those 13 yards, you can't reach the end zone. It's not even a Hail Mary. So, like, it's critically important, those 13 yards. All he has to do is say that if that was a mistake, we got to guard the sidelines. We can't give him that kind of a free pass, especially when there's 6 seconds. Like, any play where he catches it, you tackle him in bounds, it's over. Like, the game can end right there too. You don't have to get to the Hail Mary. Like, you could just play the play, and maybe the play ends, the game ends. You don't even get to it. Like, I just think. We've seen, playoff game with Kansas City, what they did with 13 seconds against Buffalo. Like, every one of these seconds matters, and the yards matter. Like, I think you got to play every play like it could be your last play.
Baldy, let's talk about the handoff to Doug Kramer. There is actually a world in which because we've discussed this in the last couple of weeks. Like, wouldn't it be cool if they actually handed it off to him, because he has been in there at fullback for 1 to 2 plays a game the last 3 or 4 games, whatever it's been. Like, they've used him in some of those short yardage moments as like a lead blocker, which makes sense. You got this offensive lineman on the sidelines who's up and active, and he's not in the game. Hey, he can go clear some space for you to go get 1 yard. I actually love that. And it's like, okay, well, maybe eventually when you earn it, and I'm not saying like you as the player, Doug Kramer, earn it, but partially. But as the play caller, you have to earn that play call, in my opinion. You don't call it in a game where nothing's really going right for you offensively. You're lucky you're still in the game. And, oh, by the way, it's the biggest moment of the game. You have to score a touchdown there, and that's the play call. It just blew my mind, Baldy, that actually could have happened.
I agree. Your 2 best runners are, DeAndre Swift, who had a great second half, and the play that got him into the game, and then Caleb. Like, I mean, I watched Bo Nix leapfrog over the defense last week for a touchdown. Tom Brady was almost unstoppable in a quarterback sneak. Jalen Hurts is almost unstoppable in what they do. Like, I just think there's a better way to get a yard than to put a guy in there that hasn't touched the ball in the biggest play of the game to go win the game. It's just it's an egregious error. Like, it's a bad play call. It's I don't know. I mean, I know Fred scored in the Super Bowl on it, but it wasn't a defining. I mean, it was a defining moment from the standpoint that Walter didn't get a chance to touch it. But at the same time, it wasn't a defining moment of that game. This was a defining moment of the game. Now they resurrected themselves and got them back in a position, but still, I mean, we never might have seen the Hail Mary throw if they scored right there.
What do you see from the Bears offense outside of just in general, Baldy? Because, I mean, it was a massive
ugly.
struggle.
Yeah, it was just ugly. Losing Braxton hurt. Armagagi really struggled out there. They put Louvu on him. Anybody they put on him, he was struggling. They did not protect well. And so Caleb was really – we'd seen a really settled Caleb for 3 weeks in a row where he's really good in the pocket. They blitzed him a lot. Both inside linebackers, Louvu, Wagner, came at him. They didn't do a particularly good job against it or be prepared for it. The pressure was bad. He was not on to start the game. He was hot. He looked like he did week 1 and 2. Maybe it was being back home and 140, guys from his high school there, all because of him. Yeah, maybe there was some of that and jitters. It can be a little bit understandable, but he was not calm and he wasn't accurate to start the game at all. Obviously he got back and the defense kept him in the game, but yeah, that was not a good performance until the fourth quarter.
How much did you think it was on Caleb versus just the scheme?
I don't think Washington has a particularly difficult scheme, to be honest with you. I think their secondary is very average. I think you can get behind that group if you block them up front. They rely on those 2 linebackers to blitz and get pressure. They do it all the time. It's in every cut up. Wagner and Louvu coming on and cross stun up the middle. They ran over the back a couple of times. Roshan got trucked on the play. Caleb was, bailing for his life in a few of those situations. But I don't think it's a particularly difficult scheme. I think any one of those 3 receivers is capable of. I honestly thought Keenan Allen would have a big day against a rookie in San Ristel. They never really got that matchup going too much. But I thought he could beat him anytime he wanted to. And they really didn't feature that much.
Well, I think anybody can be encouraged by what we saw from Caleb in the offense in the fourth quarter. That was great to see that turnaround. But the problem with the Bears offense is on the first drive, the first quarter, the first half of the entire season. This has been a trend every single game. And I think for the season on their first drives, they have 80 total yards, and it consists of a finish of punt, punt, field goal, punt, 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 punt. So how can they get Caleb Williams and this offense to settle in faster, because it's taking way too long for them to get to that point in the second half?
It's funny. I'm in Philadelphia. The Eagles haven't scored a point in the first quarter all year. They were 6-2 or 5-2, and play Jacksonville this week to get to 6-2. They got a good record. They're playing good football. They can't score in the first quarter. Everybody mentions it every week. All you do is you're always trying to improve. You're always trying to write the perfect script, practice the perfect script, and execute the perfect script to start. Everybody wants to start fast. Ultimately, it's about how you finish, as we just found out. But I just think that I don't think it's a question of, are we ready to play? Are we ready for what the defense is going to give us? It just comes down to, and it's not the plays called, it just comes down to execution. And some teams just are bad at it. And I guess Saturday should be a bigger emphasis. In some places, just a walkthrough. It's kind of a romper room type atmosphere. In some places, I don't know what it's like under Eberflus, so I haven't been there on a Saturday. But I've been in teams like that where it's just a romper room. And then some people treat it like it's game day. So I would say that I would treat Friday and Saturday as a whole lot more important maybe they are, and maybe that will reflect in the first quarter rather than waiting to try to get some kind of rhythm or find out what the defense is doing and adjust therein. I like to have the defense adjust to me by my formations and by my play calling and my execution.
All the Bears got to go to Arizona this weekend. We're all going. We got a big trip planned. I can't figure out the Cardinals, though. Are they, 1 week they're getting killed by the Packers. Another week they're killing the Rams. Now they've won 3 out of their last 4. Are they good?
Yeah. I'll tell you what they are, because I study that team, because I like Jonathan Gannon a lot. He was here in Philadelphia, got to know him. I'll tell you one thing. Nobody, last year the Eagles overlooked them, they got beat. The Cowboys overlooked them, they got beat. The Steelers overlooked them in Pittsburgh, they got trucked by James Conner. That James Conner is a beast. He's a hell of a player. The offensive line is very good. They are scrappy as hell. They don't have a single guy that really could beat anybody in pass rush. But they do pull out some blitzes like they did against San Francisco, where you're like, where did this pressure come from? Next thing you know, Brock Purdy is just eating grass seed. The ball's getting turned over. Buda Baker is as good a free safety as there is in football. Like, nobody strikes like the Cobra. Jalen Thompson, they got some excellent players and some excellent schemes. They play a diamond scheme with Kazir White as the middle linebacker. They like their safeties deep, Buda and Jalen Thompson, and they fly to the football, and they hit everything that moves. They're scrappy as hell, and they've earned their 4 wins now. They took the ball down the field against Miami to go kick that game-winning field goal, and Kyler put a great drive together. Like, they could drive you nuts. If they stay in the game, the longer they stay in the game, because they're not that talented, but the longer they stay in the game, the more dangerous they become.
So, Baldy, a year ago at this time, I asked you, is there any threshold Justin Fields could overcome to avoid Caleb Williams becoming a Chicago Bear, where it seemed the Bears were definitely going to get the number 1 pick? And at the time, you said no. And so right now, Bears fans, all they're talking about is Ben Johnson. That's all they're talking about. And we all just want to fast forward to the end of the season and have our answer of, is Eberflus going to be fired or not? So I'm going to ask you the same question that I asked you about Fields. What threshold does Matt Eberflus have to meet to continue to be the head coach of the Chicago Bears after this season?
Well, if they make the playoffs, you can't get rid of Matt. If they collapse, you could. If they don't play up to, defensively, they're playing very good football. But if somehow they collapse, and if they don't make the playoffs, then I think you could have that argument. If they make the playoffs, especially in the division they're in right now, I don't see how there's any way that you can unload them. Now, the question then becomes, do you take the creative mind that Ben Johnson has, which is, that's the coach they wanted in Washington. I don't know what happened on the plane ride there to go become the head coach when he turned around and came back. But there's a reason why they're the best offense in football. Now, the offensive line is great. The talent is good. The quarterback is locked in. But that guy, the things that guy comes up with is next level. And if you want that with Caleb Williams and what he's doing right now with Jared Goff, then that's certainly a conversation that the people that write a lot of checks in Chicago can have.
Detroit, Green Bay this weekend, which, yes, you have something that you want to
I was going to say goodbye to Baldy.
Yeah.
Something else?
I don't ever want to say goodbye to Baldy.
Well, I don't want to. It is hard to say goodbye. I was just going to follow up with the whole Ben Johnson. Hey, just on the way out here, Baldy. Does Shane Waldron know what he's doing? What do you think?
Well, I thought he had, 2 really good games in a row. I thought the offense started to make a lot of sense in the last 3 weeks. The quarterback in the line didn't play well last week. I can't put that on the coordinator, because I don't know what they didn't get to because they were off the field so frequently and in such bad situations. I know that they can't afford to lose Braxton Jones and Tevin Jenkins in any game anymore because the replacements, aren't ready to go yet.
Well, yeah. That Shane Waldron game might have looked a lot different had they just not handed the ball off to an offensive lineman at the goal line. Baldy, thank you so much. It's always good talking to you, and we'll see if the Bears can bounce back this week.
Enjoy that trip to the desert, man. It should be fun. I know it's going to be all Bear fans out there, so it should be like a home game for you.
Yeah, it's going to be between all the ones that live out there and the ones that are going out there. It's going to be a great weekend.
Come out to Arizona and come golfing with us, Baldy.
I would love to. But I got some action right here in Philadelphia this weekend.
All right,
there we go.
All right, guys. I'll see you next week.
Y'all silly like the mayor.